Hey, what's up? Welcome to Space Couch. I'm happy to see you. I'm always happy to be in space. And, it's great to be here. Surveying Psi right off the bat. Looks like everything's working today out here in space. Uh, Something of a rare but welcome trait. All right. Dan is in the room, and that's all right. Very happy to be here. But I'm also very, very happy about many things. I want to share a little bit of a message with you. The Gothsicles have all this merch you can get, like shoulder shave cream and cat shit scoopers and those are great. And our coffee mug, that's awesome. And you can get this all at thegothsicles.bandcamp.merch. Help support Space Couch. But we got more important things than even merch to get to because personal favorite, Space Couch favorite, dare I say, humanity's favorite is with us today. You know him, you love him. Here to discuss one of the greatest albums, I think, of definitely the year, if not the last few. Oh, Mr. Steven. What's going on, man?
Huh? Oh,
So
hi.
good. Hey, what is up? And we're just going to do a little adjustment there. And okay, super good. Oh, we have Planet Damage in the house. Jonathan Wisniewski. Oh, and the Mighty Ray, of course. Man, we got a little bit of a space nebula problem because you keep changing size, but that's okay. That's how Couch works, man.
I do
Uh,
that. I
you,
That just happens in real life.
you are all about changing your mass.
Yeah, exactly.
Demos Logic in the place. What is up, man? Thank you so much for coming out here into space. Uh,
Yeah.
it's
I need to know about the shaving, the shoulder shaving
Yeah,
cream
yeah,
though.
yeah,
Like that's awesome.
yeah. It's the real deal. Men of our ilk like to bare
Is it
our
flame?
shoulders. What's that?
Well, it's because all the industrial dudes, their hair goes off of their head and then on their shoulders. As we know, Tom Shearer, walking
Oh,
rug.
well, that it takes all kinds, and we have
Hmm?
products to serve that here at Gothical HQ. Um, so, David, what's going
I'm just
on?
gonna keep
Conform
doing this
Code's
because it's
own.
funny.
Yeah, it's a little, it's jumping around. You know how we do. Like, I can't just do a show from like my apartment. I got to do it from space, and you sometimes run into like nebulas and stuff, and so
Of course.
the signal gets a little bit distorted. But the sleeper will awaken here on Space Couch because let's just get right into it, dude. Technology Implies Belligerence is a beast. It's out now. You can get that at what do you think? Stoneburner.bandcamp.com. What do you like?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, just look it up there
Okay.
and all the usual outlets.
Uh, let's get into it. Something of a I won't say departure because you obviously got a lot of the sort of tribal or belly dance ish elements you've incorporated before, but you went hard industrial on this and vocals all over the place. Um, where do I start? Is there a focus or a feeling? Like, is there an emotional drive
Oh yeah,
behind this?
well, okay, so the whole thing happened because I sat down to write the new record and I wrote a few things and I was like, wow, the fan base would love this and it's just boring the living hell out of me. And so I wanted to do something that had a little bit more, I guess, just resonance in the real world. Like I love the stuff that I was doing with it, and
Hmm.
I think it's very beautiful art. But I wanted to kind of be me, honestly, just to write from my own place of where I live, and so in preparation for that, I took copious notes. Part of it was actually based on this book called Blindsight, this is kind of a deluxe edition called Firefall, but half of it is Blindsight, by Peter Watts, and which is where the name came from, and a bunch of the elements across the whole record are about this.
Really?
Peter's an amazing, incredibly intelligent, angry man, and we see eye to eye on a lot of things. But one of the things that when I first read the book was that I would have to stop every few pages and actually go and look up some of the ideas he was talking about. And they were all real, and they'd just been kind of extrapolated out 100 years or so. And I really liked the idea of trying to do a record that had footnotes to it, that it wasn't just about like, whatever. I don't know what people write industrial records about anymore. But I wanted to talk me as an adult pushing 50, you know. Mm-hmm. It's not about, you know, cybernetic warfare or whatever.
Right.
It's just, you know, it runs the gambit of pure fiction to hey, wow, I just caught a worm out there on our window. You know, it runs the gambit from that to my personal existential crises, mm-hmm. to songs inspired by Nietzsche. And,
wow. Okay.
So I took texts and just inspiration from everywhere. There are a few lines on the record that were based on things from a Resident Evil game I was playing mm-hmm. at the time. So I really enjoyed that whole process of doing it. It's the record that I've been promising that I would make for the last 30 years.
Really?
Yeah. I started listening to electronic music when I was like 8 or whenever I discovered Tangerine Dream.
Right.
And then when Art of Noise happened, when Close to the Edit came out, mm-hmm. I was on Night Flight. I was just amazed by that.
Yeah.
And followed that through Paranormia, and then when I was about 14, I got into punk, and then when I was about 16, I discovered Skinny Puppy, and I was like, this is what's been missing from my life. And then, we've gone and explored a lot of different styles of music over the years, but I, once again, as an I don't relate to most of the industrial that happens these days, and I tend to find a lot of it not as, hey, now I'm down here, now I'm here, now I'm here. Yeah.
You're wild.
I feel like a lot of it's lost the elements to it that I have always enjoyed. It's gotten so well produced that it's lost its soul.
Interesting.
And so I wanted to write a poorly produced record.
You failed at that.
Oh, thank you. So I went and spent just an insane amount of time doing sampling and audio manipulation to get it sonically where I wanted it to go. And then this is the first time I've written or sung in 20 years. So learning to write lyrics that actually say what I'm trying to say was a whole new experience. And
is that what you mean when you say this is the album you've been meaning to write for 30 years?
That's sonically and yeah, just being the entire thing was very much I do a thing with painting where I will give myself assignments that I always call put up or shut up. Like, oh, okay, Mr. Painting Guy, you think you're good? Well, here's a Rembrandt painting. I want you to reproduce it. And with painting, that's fine, and I can reproduce a Rembrandt, and that's fine. I don't worry about that. But with audio production, I'm very comfortable with the technical aspect of it, but learning to put myself into it was a whole other thing. Like with Ego Likeness, it's a vehicle for Donna's ideas, and that's what it's supposed to be, and that's awesome. And I'm involved on a conceptual level, but really it's about her making sure that she is able to speak about the things she needs to speak about. And then with my other projects, they're so much more abstract that they're much more about feeling
Mm.
and place and things like that. Whereas this is like I now have to stand up on stage and say this to a group of people, um, which was a very intimidating idea.
Right.
And
Like,
then I looked to the people whose lyrics amaze me, like Todd from Cop Shoot Cop.
wow.
There's a Firewater song where the lyrics are, "When you live by the rule or you die inch by inch, every day is your mile." I'm like, that's just badass. Like
Right.
that, it's a really eloquent way to summarize that, or at least it sounds like it is. And so when I sat down to really work on this, I tried very hard to get that wordplay in, and the other problem is, how do you write about things that you have strong emotions about as an adult without sounding like you're 15?
Oh, dude. Good call.
So that, and the trick with that is having a large vocabulary and clever wordplay, because then you can get the nuances that you need to get into it. Also, kind of something I did with my very first band 1,000 years ago was I relearned how to sing rhythmically, and so between those two things, I was able to kind of get these cool strings of phrases. Like on one of the songs, it's all your additional addictions, manufactured affectations from affliction to perpetuating victim. Gesticulations
Yeah.
are inspected by the heads that you bet. Articulations are rejected. Thanks to you, we're all infected. You know,
Damn.
it's kind of figuring make those streams work.
Awesome. I want to
Was
bookmark you right there. We have Servain Joy Vallis says, you don't look 50 at all. It must be the shoulder shave gel. We have some people very much liking your influences. And Jan from Isoloscope says, more like Stoneburner. Am I right? But you're great stuff. Um, uh,
a side note to that Cop Cop story. Jim, their keyboard player, uh, he and I became friends over the last bunch of years. And I told him
nice.
one of the last times I talked to him, I was like, all right, so I just went through and sampled your entire catalog and turned it into this record. I hope you don't mind, because it's done. So, and he was totally cool with it, which was nice. But
Phew. Well, yeah, dude, that is a lot to digest there, because I mean, obviously, you'd put out a non-zero amount of Stoneburner material heretofore, and then this thing just hit like a ton of bricks. So you giving me the superhero origin story on this album is kind of, the pieces are falling into place. Like it's I liked it before, to be honest, and now I'm loving it. Um,
well,
just because I
I've got a, for those that care, I made a Facebook group that had real time kind of breakdowns of all of the songs, all those footnotes that I mentioned, and way more involved version, because I'm an art guy, I'm a process guy. I find that fascinating, so I documented the entire thing, and
no
at
really.
some point I need to put it up on the website. But I can, before next time I get in there, I will send you an invite to that group so
Oh,
you can just
awesome.
at least see that stuff. But for everybody else, I'll get it up on the website.
Yeah, we'll put
I'm
that up
doing
in the
this
show
just
notes.
to be frustrating. I like the fact that I'm just kind of sticking
It's
out.
okay. We can do like a space game out of it. If it did involve me interrupting your stories, we could, I don't know, do a little dance every time the frame changed. But that's all right, because we're bending space time here, so we will get these temporal visual distortions. It's like everybody thought I was just like on a divan in Boston, but no, this is the real thing, man.
No,
Um,
space, man. Like we're bouncing shit off
we are
satellites.
like, dude, bending light. Um, and speaking of amazing visual distortions, you have, at the time of this episode, six music videos.
Hmm.
They are
Seven,
amazing.
actually. The new single hasn't come out yet.
Mother, oh, dude. Um, uh, I would like to show the people like a little bit of a taste of at least the first six,
Yeah,
if that's cool. We're gonna do that
yeah.
now. Well, I got my space remote. needs to be turned off and on sometimes. And there we go. And I had it on mute. What's up? We're back. What's going on, kitty cat? We have for the second time the illustrious Sophie here on Space Couch. Awesome. I love it, dude. Speaking of loving it, we saw in order there. So much more aware, so much less perceptive. The structure itself is pain. The Angel of Abscess Minor Monster is identity by diagnosis, and finish that off with Dry Gun. Holy shit. If there was just one music video, we could probably talk all about that. But with all of them, I don't really know where to start. We'll just jump in high level. Like, where do... After releasing that album, where does all that creative drive and stamina, I guess, to make all that stuff come from?
Existential crisis.
Okay.
You know, we're all dying really fast, and like I said, this is the record, and so I wanted to do as much as I can to get it out there into the world, because it, like, you know, I rarely know if something's good or not when I'm knee deep in it, or even when it's finished. I can just say, okay, well, it functions. I don't know if anybody will like it, but I like it. And but with this one, I felt really like I had set out with a specific idea and nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's how I felt. And so I wanted to get that out as much as possible. Also, I'm a visual guy. Everything, all the songs are pictures anyway, and so a lot of that was just taking some of those pictures and turning them into video.
Wow.
Another part of it was we live in the future, and
right.
It blows my mind when I look around at other bands that you know, want to make progress in their careers, not taking advantage of the tools that we have. And like all of those videos, I shot them on my iPad.
That's so
In our
awesome.
garage, you
Really?
know. Yeah, or like in our living room, like Minor Monsters, I set up the projector, the screen. There's one light source hanging down above me. Spent some time putting that microphone together, and that was it. You know, I mean, I did that entire thing in a few hours.
It looks really good, man.
Or thanks. Or so much more aware. I from start to finish, I did that entire thing in 24 hours.
Get
And
out.
and the one special effect in it with all the static and stuff. I mean, all that is green screen paint,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just keyed it out and put TV static on it. So, um, the video for Angel of Abscess was by far the most involved, and that took 4 days to build the whole set. And that was, but I mean, again, that's all stuff we had around the house. Like we've got a fan that's works in a vet clinic, and she gave me just a massive stack of X-rays, and so I ended up building a 10 by 12 foot wall of X-rays, and then just put regular industrial floodlights like from Home Depot on a dimmer pack for stage lighting, and was able to make them strobe and turn on time and things like that. And then I just
great.
all the rest of it was really like all the skeletons and dead stuff was all just dead stuff from around the house, like you do.
Right.
Um,
You're just like playing with the viscera and all that. It's just
oh, that was raw chicken.
okay.
That was raw. Yeah, yeah, raw chicken and Caro syrup and Kool-Aid.
But you made it work. Like it's so good. The so you just think, I can do this. I don't need to.
Honestly, that's one of the ways that I got through the whole record is by going, these are the things I know I can do,
Mm-hmm.
and these are things that I don't know if I can do or not, but I know people that do them, so there's no reason I can't. Like when I learned to play guitar, when you're already good at something, like I was already good at painting, there's always this little voice in your head saying you're never going to be as good at this thing as you are at this thing.
Yeah.
So why bother? And I stopped and I kind of punched myself in the face and I was like, you've got the two prerequisites to do this. You're not an idiot and you have hands. And so kind of, I mean, I've always done video editing. We had to do our very first video because the person who was shooting it literally went insane and disappeared. So I had to edit it and learn Premiere in a day and a half and get this video out. And once I realized that essentially it's
That we hit some space
visuals,
turbulence. Sorry, timeout. Could you repeat that last point?
Oh, I was just saying that learning to use Premiere was just like once you understand how to use DAWs for recording, it's basically just Photoshop with a timeline.
Good stuff. That's fucking great, man. So, going into this with stuff you knew, is there anything that you did differently or learned with this new disc, or vis-a-vis music video?
Doing the sampling. The sampling thing was huge.
Yeah.
Getting into that really changed. Yeah, I'm not a musician really. I don't care about notes. I'm more interested in sounds and place and atmosphere. And so for me, writing melodies and stuff I can pluck something out or I can program a piano part, and that's fine. But I don't think in phrases like that. And so using the samples, building off the samples gave me a lot of just it's a lot like a lot of the collage art that I do, where you take something and it gives you a starting point and then you can build off of it.
Right.
And that was really useful. Like it's always easier to know what doesn't work than to be able to predict what will. So you develop this dialogue back and forth with that. So that was great. Learning how to do the lyrics and honestly looking at the songs from a much more holistic standpoint. Whereas with Ego, it was always just you write the songs, and then
Uh-huh.
it's for Donna, and then we work together to figure that out. But for me, it was having to cover both aspects of that
Mm.
was very eye opening, and it helped me look at almost myself as a partner, like the person writing the lyrics versus the person doing the music, and developing dialogues with how do you make those things work.
Mm.
Like with the songs, they all had names before I knew what they were about.
Mm.
I just picked phrases that I thought sounded like they were going in the direction conceptually of what I wanted to talk about. One of the other rules that I gave myself was I wasn't allowed to just completely get rid of a song and write something new. I had to work with what was there. So even if in the end it was just me taking one little 2-bar section and getting rid of everything else, it kept the name and it kept those. So having those limitations helped
Interesting. What did you think of that
shape.
process? Because I'll often just be like, this is shit, and just like throw something out. But you decided like, no matter what, I'm keeping this. Am I understanding you right?
Well, yeah, but I would figure out like just find the one part that worked. Like if it
Oh,
was
okay.
just one drum loop or something. Um, and for me, a lot of that is it's a discovery. Like so now I have these just files and files and files of samples. So a lot of it is if I'm stuck on something, I just start opening up these folders and just dragging random stuff in to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it helps, and sometimes it doesn't. And but more often than not, it's like okay, like this is kind of a cool piece of music or just a cool sound. So I'm going to play around with micro tuning and getting it all in the right place, and see what it
Oh,
does.
you micro tuned it. Cool.
Or figure out like one of the songs, Angel of Abscess. Like I had built the first half of it, and then the second half came from another thing that I wrote like 6 months ago,
Oh, really? Okay.
and ended up like cutting that section out and just jamming it all into the end of it. And that's the one I could actually get really, really screwed on if somebody tracked down where the violin sample came from. Just because I built the entire thing around this one sample, and but and it's the only one I think is particularly obvious. All the rest of it's like, there's a Tori Amos bass line in one of the songs, and that's the other thing that was a lot of fun. Actually, was taking these loops and working because we live in the future. You can slice off and so finding ways to make these variations when you have something that has been very set. So that's been cool. Yeah.
Cool, man.
No, the entire process was amazing. Just the videos were fantastic. I learned so much doing all that stuff. I built the green screen rig, and that was
Yeah.
that's the first time I've ever done that. So that was really cool. Or I grew up fascinated by special effects when I was a kid. The magazine Cinefex.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
It
totally.
Yeah. All right. So it started in the early '80s, and you can get an iPad app of it, and it goes all the way back. You can get copies of it that go all the way back to the early '80s when this technology was being built, and so it gets into, the entire process of conceptualizing the film through conceptualizing the technology needed to create it.
Okay.
So I was able to kind of go, okay, well, if they could do this in
Right.
the '80s, then there's no reason I can't figure out some sort of way to reproduce it.
Okay. Oh, I've like the space couch uh nebula is like all over the place today. That's okay though, 'cause we got Stoneburner and all is right and good with the world. We're just gonna move. That's the TV. Fuck it. We'll figure it out later. It's all right.
Yeah, fix it in the mix
We'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post.
because that
Um,
always.
it always works 100% of the time, and it's not a
Oh
myth
yeah.
at all. Um, so that's Stoneburner recorded. I don't want to wrap it up in a little bow and say that's it because there's a lot to Stoneburner recorded, but I want to at least touch on Stoneburner live. The the rig you built. Now, I got to see some previous incarnations of Stoneburner, like on the boat and stuff, and which is essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you and an iPad. Uh,
Yeah, it was me, and the entire thing was originally built just to fly really easily, and so I was
mhm.
just my laptop and then a couple of controllers, uh, and then I got creative. Well, no, what happened is Negative Gain, or our record label, they were like, you should do live vocals, and I was like, the vocals aren't even me, on the previous
Mhm.
record, like they're not even human in some cases, and so I was like, I don't even know how I would do it, and so I got this really great vocoder. It's called a Warp Factory,
Okay.
and it's a hardware vocoder, and initially my plan was just to use it like a standard vocoder, where you run your vocals through it, and then as the
That we hit a glitch
what
in the
I
matrix.
did
What
by
was
accident one day.
uh,
Oh, sure.
you
I got this
vocoded out when
vocoder.
you were talking about vocoders?
Oh, but um, so instead of running a synth as the carrier and the vocals as the modulator, I ran the original vocals as the carrier, and then my vocals modulate the original vocals. So I was able to just do these ridiculous
Yeah, it's great.
vocal effects and sounds that weren't at all human, but I was able to control it all with my mouth. So like if you had a long sustained sound, like vocal sound, I could actually sing with that and then modulate it to make it much, much more live. And unlike, say, if you're going to do tracked vocals or whatever, um, if you drop the mic, they don't keep going because there's
Yeah.
nothing there to drive it. Um, so now what I'm doing actually is I'm split. We're now on Stoneburner Live 3.0,
Mhm.
and what I'm doing is I'm splitting the vocals out at the wireless receiver. So one goes out through the DAW and then into the vocoder and then in with the stereo signal
Wow.
going out, and the other one goes straight out to the house through a vocal processor that just adds chorus and delay. And the sound person just kind of mixes between the two, which makes
Live.
them, since I'm singing actual words now,
Huh.
having my live vocals there make them a little bit more legible.
Okay.
Um, Once again, going back to the idea of having content, I want people to at least sort of be able to understand what I'm. But so anyway, when I started doing the vocal thing live, pressing buttons just didn't really add a show. And so I play drums with Velvet Acid Christ and a few other bands,
Woo.
and Mindless Faith. And so I set up this drum rig, and I'm not a great drummer. I can count to 4. I've got good rhythm, but I built my drum setup based on how I play air drums. I wouldn't know what to do with a real drum set if you put a gun to my head. Um, but I had it set up, and I tried a couple of things, and then one day I walked through the studio and just ran my fingers across the drums and triggered them like that, and I was like, oh, I could just use these as hand drums.
Cool.
So I built this rig around that where I'm playing them by hand and then punching metal for crashes and things like that, and it was great, and it worked really well for 2.0. Now with 3.0, I'm doing mostly the vocals live, and I built a smaller, just 3 drum thing that I'm playing with sticks out of floodlights, LED floodlights, and I could actually set it up so that the drum hits trigger the lights, but it's easier to just program them ahead of time so that the lights come on when I'm playing, and if it's a really hard part, it's all strobes underneath, and then it
Damn.
gets to black and stuff, which is pretty cool. And then I have live drummers that I bring in um, to fill it out, so I'm not the only person on stage. And for the next tour, actually, Donna will be taking over and doing the big hand drumming rig.
Donna's gonna be doing some drumming. That's amazing. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Uh, oh, hey, what's up? John from Interface is here. What's up to Thomas from The
Hey, they've got a new
Purge?
record out. Good for them.
Yeah, that's really good. It's really good. I mean, and what's up to Tara? How's it going? Bringing everybody out today. That's amazing. Well, um, and I think you may have started this in Stoneburner 2.0 Live, which is, I called it the Jungle Gym in the show notes. This giant, like Blue Man Group thing you put together. Is that Do you have to reset that? Do you have to take it apart like it's stage rigging for every show?
No, oh no. It's more or less three parts. There's the two
Hmm.
speaker stands on the bass, and then the big square part at the top all just comes off as one piece with all the drums attached to it, and all the wiring is already gaffed into the whole thing. So usually all I have to do, unless it gets knocked or something,
Hmm.
is just drop it down onto the bass and then plug it in. Um, I'm really big on trying to minimize. I'm lazy, really. I guess that's
Well,
what it boils down to. I'm lazy and easily confused, so all everything's all color coded, and so anything I can do to prevent having to think about setting things up at a
oh
show,
well,
setting things up at a show, I'm going to do.
yeah. I mean,
Uh,
nobody
but then
tours like
at the end,
Ego.
I just gets thrown in on top of stuff in the van.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you guys know what you're doing. You've played one or two live shows, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, at least maybe more.
maybe triple digits, but the probably right. The definitely like maybe even 1,000. Speaking of live shows, I'm gonna get a plug in because we get to open for Stoneburner, and along with their friends Big Time Kill and the new teen sensations Pop Will Eat Itself, September 20th at Fate. I don't know how to pronounce that music
Yeah,
hall in Providence, Rhode Island. We
where
are gonna.
Brian will be joining me to do a cover that we did recently.
Oh yeah, you know it's good, you girl. You know it's true. It's gonna be. It's not Billy
It's that
Billy.
song.
It's that song. It's totally that song. But Gothicles and Stoneburner in Providence. We are gonna straight up summon some shit. We are gonna get non-Euclidean as a motherfucker. It's gonna be great. So September 20, Providence, Rhode Island. Big Time Peel, the Gospels, Stoneburner, and Pop Will Eat Itself. That will be an interesting green room. Um, the We'd spoken a little bit about this. Well, a couple things before the show. You have just come back from an art show in York.
York, yeah,
York.
York, PA.
That's pretty awesome. Like,
Yeah, it's cool. I don't actually do shows very often, because I'm lucky enough that I'm able to sell in general online, and most galleries take 50 or 60% commission on your sales, which I get, and they have to support themselves, and that's cool. But I really hate the idea of having to up my pricing out of the range of the people who are actually going to buy it, so I can actually make money doing it. What I can just sell direct.
mhm.
But yeah, a friend of mine made a comment about this gallery, and so I just dropped them a line. They said, "Oh, well, we have an opening in August." So within a week, I basically had the show together and up, and I just happened to have enough material sitting around. But it
Man,
hasn't sold yet, so you guys need to get on that because it's
where
good.
can people do that?
It's in York, PA, and the Dark Room, I think, is what it's called.
Okay, check out
Um,
Darkroom in York, PA. And if they wanted to get stuff from you online,
Online, if you go to egolikeness.com, on the right hand side, there is a link that says artwork, and that goes to our web store. And there's a ton of prints and things like that there, and CDs. You can buy towels and bathing suits with my face on them, which is pretty
it's
cool.
so good, so good.
I particularly appreciate the fact that the females in a number of couples wear them, and I'd like to think that their partners are getting a little confused when they see me now because they need to associate it.
Well, you arouse all sorts of feelings in me. Speaking of more visual art, because it's been 4 seconds, so you have to do something. Like a man after my own heart. Just do not stop swimming. You've already sort of tested the waters for what's next for Stoneburner in at least something of a visual art medium.
Well, we've got a bunch of stuff coming up. Like my job this week actually is to begin working on the new ego like material.
Kick ass.
But also over the next couple of weeks, I've got a new Stoneburner single that'll be out, uh, called One by One We Glitter and Disappear, which will have a new video for that, a bunch of remixes. But so what Brian's talking about is an EP that I'm going to do that I'm going to have out for the main part of the fall tour called Mass Driver. Mass Driver exists because when I worked on Belligerence, I went very, very, very far deep down the hole, and it gets very dark down there, and I wasn't sure if I could. All the choices and all those things happened very, very quickly, and I didn't know if I could reproduce it. And the idea of waiting, another year or so before trying to start to write new material, and then all of a sudden realizing that I didn't remember what I did was really scary. So I just had to get back in and do something. And also because with the live show, I just didn't have enough new material to really fill out the whole thing, which is where the name came from. I needed more mass driver. Brian was asking earlier, because I've been kind of talking a little bit about this comic book idea. I'm not actually really a comic book guy. There are a few that I love. Electro Assassin I think is amazing, but with videos being such a great method of promotion, I was trying to come up conceptually with a way to reproduce this idea visually. And when I came up with the idea for the record, I don't even know. I liked the phrase mass driver so much. And once again, I think in pictures, and the first picture that I had in my head was just this idea of some sort of projectile just punching a hole in the sun. And so I began to just develop this little story about an artist who decides that it's, humanity has kind of gone as far as it's going to go. He's not very pleased with his own creative acts, so he's going to essentially destroy the entire solar system and render it down into components, and then rebuild everything to make it more beautiful.
Damn.
Yeah, I was writing up kind of a manifesto that may or may not actually appear as part of it, but it's just like, evolution's very good at being practical, but we've got like 50 different types of skin flea. So yeah, and so the song Mass Driver is essentially the beginning part of that, and then there's bits and pieces of it throughout the rest of it. But so anyway, I've been working on this comic for a video where the idea would be to just have it like those flash cutscenes in video games. So this was my I don't know if you can see that well. So that was my
we got the original. Awesome.
Yeah, and then
that looks badass, dude.
Oh, thanks. And I'm just playing around with like, this is just a quick mock-up of the character being evil and coming up with these ideas.
All right.
So it'll develop off of that.
Looking forward to that.
Although I've never done a comic before. I don't think linearly well, so I'm just drawing all the pictures that make sense. And but I wrote up essentially a script for it, just so I could start figuring it all out. And I kind of forgot that I have to do all of this within like 4 minutes of the song happening, maybe with a little slop on either end. And I've got all these huge pieces of dialogue and this guy's letter to humanity saying, "Oh, this is why I'm doing this," and ha ha ha, I'm evil. I have no idea how I'm going to make that work, but I'll figure out something. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just have to do a video of me singing into the laptop camera and say like, "Oh, there you go. There's your video."
Hell yeah! I mean, it's a Stoneburner shared universe starting right here. That'd be amazing. Big ups to Amanda, Ian, Stair, and Alex of Pill Brigade. I
do want to pimp one other thing, though.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Donna, my wife Donna has a new book out called "Choking Back the Devil," and it's fantastic. I mean, for me, it very much seems like with the Stoneburner record is kind of everything I have been trying to do for so long, and I really feel that this book is of a similar magnitude as far as Donna's creativity, and though work that she has put into it. It's just fantastic. And it's so far it's just been getting really cool accolades from big time horror people.
Hell yeah! Where do we pick that up?
Amazon or through our publisher Raw Dog Screaming Press. Raw
Nice.
Dog Screaming Press.
All right, Choking Back the Devil. Check that out. You said something very interesting to me, and let me know if I'm picking this up. But you are continuing on this mass driver thing because it took a beat to get to this place, like down in this manhole, if you will, like emotionally. Like, were you there at the start of technology, or did it hit a peak?
No, actually, working on that record was terrifying.
No shit, man.
Because I had, I decided this is what it was going to be. This was going to be the thing, the record, and then I had to figure out how to fulfill that. And so the idea, like I when even just with writing lyrics, right? So like if you listen to a lot of the old Ego likeness stuff, anything that I'm singing on, the songs function, they work, they've got really cool imagery and things like that, but it came out of a thing that I always call voice derbating, which is just opening up the mic, starting the song, recording, and then just riffing on things. So a lot of it's very image oriented, which is what I did not want to do with this. One of the ways I kind of got around part of it was I would put there's a song, the structure itself is in pain, and so what I did is I took a bunch of just like a cappella metal vocals, reversed all of them, threw them down into the song, threw a crap load of effects on it, and that kind of marked approximately where I was going to be singing. And then I just started kind of collecting phrases and pieces I knew were part of it. And that particular song is actually very literally based on part of Blind Sight. But what was cool is I went back and listened to what it sounded like it was saying, translated that back into English, and then played mix and match between kind of what I had. So there are parts of that song, like at the end of each verse, it's just, I just go, structure, which fit perfectly with the song. But that actually happened to be what the phrase reversed sounded like it was saying. Or there's a line in it about into one-eyed cat, and that was again just something I heard, so I was able to kind of see the parts I thought worked and didn't, but laying those vocal ideas down, I was able to get the rhythms of how I wanted them to work. And then once you have that, it's pretty easy to then just find, okay, I want to get from this starting point to this ending point. Here is the hook of the phrase. So now I just kind of sometimes have to work backwards to get back to the beginning so that you end up in the right place. And so that was, and you do this, I'm sure, a lot with your stuff, where it's like, you know where you're trying to get to, but you have to squeeze all of this information into 4 lines with X number of syllables.
Right. And then stepping back from it enough that, like, trying to think of, okay, I'm going to put myself in the shoes of someone hearing this for the first time, and not someone who's listened to it 8,000 times, and I know what I'm saying, but can somebody pick out the whatever?
Right, or even stupid stuff like there's a line in one of the in my existential crisis song, One by One We Disappear, where from the single moment, and then there's a drum hit, from the single moment until the end of the song, exactly 129 seconds of my life is gone.
Damn.
And the originally it was just I think I just put 200 there, and I was like, no, wait a minute, wait. I know my fan base. Somebody's going to go in there and count it to see exactly how long that is.
100%.
And because I would do that.
Yes.
And so, so I went in and figured it out and tried to figure out a way to make it all the meter fit, or like the that cover we did of the Public Enemy song.
Yeah.
Fight the Power. At the beginning of it, in the original song, it's 1989,
right.
another summer. And I was like, well, okay, I'm not going to do that. And so I had to come up with a way to kind of get into the song. It's like, okay, so 21, 21, 21, 21, 9.
It's so
So
good.
it's kind of similar, just playing around until you can fit the parts to work right.
Yeah. Um, David Clark asks, "Are you saying we're OCD?" I'm saying I'm OCD.
No,
I,
I'm saying that I'm Spectrum, and so are a lot of the people that like what I do.
it's
And,
I feel you there. I did a remix for X Uber X 1,000 years ago,
mhm.
and the name of the song was Gone, and so the name of my remix was In 4 minutes and 26 seconds. Get it?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the master came out to 4 minutes and 25 seconds. I was fucking pissed. The,
Oh yeah, no, no. Actually, the timing in that song is now wrong because of that. Actually, so yeah.
yeah, it's just like, but
But
ah.
I put the work into it. I feel good about it. I did my due diligence.
Right,
I mean,
right.
if it's off by a second or two, that's fine, but not by like 30.
But uh, the speaking of due diligence, the work was done for those 129 seconds. Is that's coming up though, right?
Oh, that single will be out. I'm trying to get it out on August 20th, which is my birthday, which would
Oh,
be kind
happy
of.
birthday!
Oh, thanks. But that'd be kind of a cool thing for an existential crisis song. The video for that. Oh, hi, Kat. The video
Aw.
for that. I summoned the our Facebook people because I was like, this is a song about mortality, and I had people submit photos and things about people that they lost, and so I was able to incorporate those into the video itself.
That's
And
gonna be pretty intense, man.
I feel like it made it more real, and it's not just about me.
Oh.
Um, so and like in the video, it's just real simple. It's just me sitting at a desk, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through and I'm calling people, and they're all dead, and so it's just me kind of
Mm.
checking this list off of people. Um, and even in the backing video that I use live, I'm using. It's kind of a two-layer video thing, like Minor Monsters, and in the backing video, I'm using the backing video that I
Mm-hmm.
sing against with all of the people in it. So their names, if nothing else, are
Mm-hmm.
are still out there in the world in some form.
Well, that's pretty great. I mean, we talked a little bit at the top of the hour about not writing like you're 15 or things you can't really write about when you're 15,
Yeah.
and not that I don't love a good song about a robot fighting a monster or whatever. I
Or a
mean,
guy destroying a sun.
or yes, or any of that, but like we now have sort of access to this other emotional facet, if you will. Big ups to White Cube and Venom Vag from Twitch says happy birthday.
Oh,
Uh,
well, thank you. It's not for a little bit. Thank you.
it's
Well, honestly, I didn't know I could write this way, and
mm,
so that was another one of those things I got out of this, where I was just like, I had no idea. I knew it. You know how you have things to say,
hmm
but taking it from like if you're just having a conversation and something comes up and you can talk about it and you go, oh,
hmm
okay, well, I guess yeah, that's what I think about that. But sitting down to write it in a sort of an organized way, I always picture Danzig, with in high school with his notepad going, "I want your skull. I need I desire I need your skull." And so it's learning how to like once again going back to not thinking linearly, coming up
mm,
with concepts that actually work across an entire song.
interesting.
Like Minor Monsters, that was one of the ones with um, I said Nietzsche, it's Kant, but I had to develop this entire set of imagery in my head and then kind of just wrote that. And then when I did the video, I went to the Perlinger archives and I had this very, very specific progression of events. And I was like, there's got to be a movie where I can take it and re-edit it. And I managed to find one that looked exactly the way I wanted to see it. It's in the public domain. Apparently, it's really bad. It's called The Last Woman on Earth. But the part that I managed to pull out of it, is just this guy walking down the beach and coming and meeting a woman and she's dead.
Mm,
but it was the exact, like, the big basalt rocky outcroppings next to the beach, and it's all very casual. So the interplay between all of that was very cool.
Fascinating. We're coming up on the end of the hour. Is there anything you want people to understand or look for on this album, or any final thoughts you may have?
I really feel I was bummed that I wasn't able to put all the lyrics in it, and I need to go and update my website, and I'll have all of those up there at some point in the very near future. The I was able to include where the title comes from, and that's not even where. Suppose if I was more organized, I'd have this. But this is once again, it's from Blindsight, and I will read what Peter wrote. Technology implies belligerence. Technology is a stunted thing in benign environments. It never thrived in any culture gripped by belief in natural harmony. Why invent fusion reactors if your climate is comfortable, if your food is abundant? Why build fortresses if you have no enemies? Why force change upon the world that poses no threat? The threats contained in these environments would not be simple ones. Harsh weather and natural disasters either kill you or they don't, and once conquered or adapted to, they lose their relevance. No, the only environmental factors that continued to matter were those that fought back, that countered new strategies with old ones, or strategies with newer ones, that forced their enemies to scale even greater heights just to stay alive. Ultimately, the only enemy that mattered was an intelligent one. And if the best toys do end up in the hands of those who've never forgotten that life itself is an act of war against intelligent opponents, what does that say about a race whose machines travel between the stars? So, basically it's just saying that the entire reason we develop technology is and continue to develop is if there's adverse issues. One thing that's also very cool is that Peter and I become friends over the years, and so I wrote him and was like, okay, I just need you to go in a quiet room with your phone and record these sections from the book. And so the last song on the record, which is this 8 or 9 minute kind of ambient epic, is a abridged version of the end of the novel, actually read by Peter.
Damn.
And the other dialogue sample that's on it in Structure is also actually from that quote. So being able to work with that, and the cover art is based on this is one of the structure. The structure itself is in paint. This is the structure that they find floating out in space. It's basically a first contact story, and the aliens in it are very, very alien. They essentially decide that they're going to attack Earth or do whatever it is they're going to do because they receive some of our transmissions and they can't translate it. They can't get anything useful out of it. So they determine that the only reason that you would transmit this is to waste other entities' bandwidths, and therefore it's some form of attack. But there is nothing I can say that's ever going to do justice to how good this book is. Incredibly intelligent. It's all of the things that you want good science fiction to be, and it's real. It's all like everything that he talks about. You can go, and he's got all the footnotes for it. And at the end of the book, it breaks down. This is where all these ideas came from.
That
so
quote
it's
had
just
me freaking out. That was really good.
So
perfect way to cap off the show. Wow. Thank you for that. That was possibly the dopest end to a show we've had. I mean, second only to Sophie meowing over the end credits for episode 2, but no, that was really great. You want to check out not only Stoneburner, but Queen Neon, Hopeful Machines, Eagle Likeness, but we are here today for Stoneburner, so get that at Bandcamp. Is it Stoneburner NGP? Is that bandcamp.com? iTunes.
Come out to the shows. I'll be at QXT's in Jersey on Saturday. And then Ego's going to be on the cruise again this year.
Okay.
And after we get back from that, then Stoneburner is going to be everywhere for about a month and a half.
Awesome.
So
All right. Well, looks like we just moved a copy of the album. Thanks, Vervain. And thank you so much for being on the show. We're gonna. God damn it. I'm gonna step on your amazing quote by saying I forgot to throw in my tagline, which is "Call the spaceships to Davenport." And all
Ah,
right. Okay, so this is Brian for Steven for Stoneburner, signing off. Thank you so much, man.
thank you.
All right, so we're at the end credits, which talking over the end credits is now a
Okay. Are
tradition.
we
But
supposed to like cover up our hands and or cover our mouths with our hands so the audience can't listen?
no, but
You can't understand what I'm saying because my mouth is covered.
oh yeah, it's like one of those animes where they don't have to animate the mouth. But
All right.
well, all right, and